Namaste.
नमस्कार.
शुरू करें?
Yes.
So, moderator is there? Okay. All right.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Namaste, everyone. Today's topic is the part of the book is extremely important in the sense that it gives us the exact point where we were in 1946 and where we are today. So that is extremely important because the mistakes were not rectified and we are in a mess even today. Probably it will continue for the next few decades unless something drastic happens and something really is done in a strong, with will and strength. Okay. So having said that, let's go to the next one and start it. So India is where it was in 1944 to 1948. And now let's see where was India during those 8 years, or from 40 to 48. From every vintage point, India was losing. Who was there doing something? What was the focus? What was the vision? What was the direction? And what was the plan of moving? None of those were in place as far as the Congress was concerned, as far as Gandhi was concerned. And besides that, there were three things going on in the 3 decades. In the decade of the 20s, Gandhi was establishing himself as leader and Mahatma, proving his Mahatmaship. In the decade of the 30s, there was total confusion and zigzag pattern. They are moving forward and then they are withdrawing. So it was all chaos. And besides, Gandhi was establishing that his challengers are not there. They either leave or they just are shown the exit. So this is where we were in the 30s. Absolutely nothing was done for the freedom, or even there was no talk about freedom or struggle. Who was struggling, what they were struggling for, and where the Congress had any say, the party as itself, absolutely no talk of the freedom. And now, in the decade of the 40s, now they are wingless because they had never any plan. They did not, they knew the partition is going to happen. In 38 they knew, in 35 they knew partition is going to happen. And somewhere along the line, there will be a boundary line. Now what next? That was not happening. And now on the negotiation table, negotiations were going on. Cripps Commission came and they were shown the door because they prepared a package. Part of the package was not even possible. So after that, the war was going on and a whole lot happened. By 1946, it was clear that the British have to leave and they will leave soon. And now the serious negotiations began. At the negotiation table, Congress had no plan. So it was always a reactive mode. If this is what the Viceroy did, this is how the Congress reacted. If this is how Jinnah did, that is also you see, the reaction was, there is no initiative that they introduced or they had it in mind. And communal violence was at its peak, and Muslim had declared civil war. Now, this is very important. So was it a civil war? This is something that people have to understand. In the history books, they are portraying that it was a civil war. Civil war is when there are two parties and both are engaged in aggressive warfare. This was one-sided. It was genocide or massacred wherever they could, however they could, and in the end, they wanted to win. So this is this was not a civil war. So let us all be clear, because even today, the communal lack of communal harmony means Hindus are intolerant or there is a saffron wave. So these categories are important. How they label things and label events, that is important. So Hindus and all other people were helpless, wingless, and without fangs. They had no weapons. They never had a fighting experience, no aggressive instinct. This is very important, because if you are constantly given a slap that behave yourself and no retaliation, and you don't start any violence, then there is no guts left and no aggressive instinct and no awareness of what was going on. So this is very important. Hindus, they had no weapons, they had no experience, no aggressive instinct, and no awareness what was going on. All they knew was like Mahatma Gandhi's three monkeys, that whatever he says he's doing fine, we can close our eyes, we can close our ears and say nothing. So this is where we were in 1948. Jinnah's overreach. Every time he put up a demand, package of demand, it was always something more. So this time, the final one that he gave was really an overreach. He demanded that Punjab should be there, entire Punjab, entire Bengal should be Pakistan, parts of Assam should be Pakistan. And since these are not contiguous, one is on the west and one is on the east, so there should be a corridor. You see, just like now they're talking about a chicken neck, a small little corridor connecting Arunachal Pradesh. Similarly, they wanted a corridor. So now it was Pakistan was going to become a contiguous state, while India was to be divided. So between north and south as well. So at this point, Cripps Commission came with a package plan. And since, these are detailed plans, and in half an hour, I cannot explain the clauses, but basically it was that there will be partition and there will be freedom of the kingdoms to choose whichever side they wanted, and the British will leave by dividing the country. So this was, and of course, instead of accepting or discussing even, Gandhi started his own show, Quit India Movement. That was in 43. In 1946, he came back as a member of the next commission. In the meantime, Liaquat Ali started his own negotiations at the level of between Muslims and the Congress party. So you see, these are parallel things going on, and putting them in a juxtaposition is a little difficult. But in any way, we are trying to do the best. So he said equal representation to Muslims with the Congress, which means if they are 25% and the Congress Hindus are 75%. So 25% Muslims will have the same representation as the Congress party had. Or in other words, the rest of the non-Muslims population has. And this was another, very stupid kind of overreach. But amazingly, one person by the name of, it was some Desai, I've forgotten, Ballu Bhai or something. He accepted it. Now, this is something extremely annoying, that how can a person accept such a thing? But this is the background against which the partition happened. Okay. So then Nehru's implicit trust in goodwill of the British. He thought Mountbatten is his personal friend and he will not go against our wishes or against our interest. You see, this is the kind of incompetent, inexperienced pygmies in diplomacy what they are. Mountbatten was loyal to his own country. At every juncture, he consulted Churchill, even when Churchill was no longer the prime minister. So he was hardcore, Churchill was hardcore racist and hated Hindus. So he consented. And here he's thinking that the British, he can count on friendship of the British, and Mountbatten can be trusted. So mindset, I am just trying to say that we had a mindset where it was, we were just moving towards our own decimation, in other words. So now in 1946, aggression started. Muslim League decided that since these negotiations are going on, let us force the hands of the British in our favor. So they said that India divided or India burned, and they made the aggressive plan. To put it in place, they started in 1946. On August 16th, that was their holy month. There was a meeting before, an open meeting. And by the way, Jyoti Vasu was attending the Muslim League meeting. That is the kind of guys we had. And of course, the massacre started the next, that very night. And there are a lot of eyewitness accounts who just landed there and found what is going on. So since it was, in a way, Hindus were taken by surprise because nobody was talking about it. The background of this is very important. That how could the presses were closed, no newspapers, telegraph offices were closed, absolutely no communication with the outside India, outside Bengal. And how could they manage that? Sohrawardi, as a governor of that province, he was bringing tribals from Balochistan for the cause. So there were all kind of groups, tribals and groups, hardcore militants. They were arriving in Calcutta before the direct action. And that is important. And from 1941, when Congress decided that they are not going to be making a coalition with the Muslim League, they had a ball. They had a great time. They recruited every policeman, Muslim, the gatekeepers and security guards, you name it. They filled the government departments, the secretariat, everything with Muslims. Who is going to stop them? And why should they stop? Who is going to stop and why should anybody stop? Because they don't know anything, what is going on. So those 3-4 days, there were no newspaper, no news outside. So 17th was the most brutal day, morning, afternoon, at night. And then one person came, and he was not even a military person or even trained in that. He gathered a few of his friends, and he said that we are going to uh, make weapons. Even if we are making swords or knives or melting something to make a hammer, even that is okay. But we have to do something. And sure enough, the next night, when the goons were let loose in those areas, Hindus were prepared. They started everything that they could. And this was his role, which the history has completely ignored. If I had not read the eyewitness accounts of some of the Bengalis of that time who passed away in the last 10 years, I would not have known Gopal Chandra Mukhopadhyay. Nobody knows. Okay. Then on the third day, the Sikhs came, and their contribution was great because they came with buses, and luckily for India, they were able to handle the daggers and karpans, swords, and they were last, and they knew how to do their job. So with their presence around Calcutta, Muslims were gathering. Finally, Sohrawardi himself appealed that we will not, we'll stop the militancy and attacks, and please you do the same. And Hindus, even though they were in advantageous position, they agreed. They said, let us evacuate Muslim women, Muslim children, and we are going to help them. They're in distress, the whole thing. But in 4 days, the damage was done. Now, what kind of damage? Even though they could not, the direct action was not successful, but what was successful then? First of all the Bihari and Assamese who were migrant workers there in Calcutta, they ran away or they were killed. Okay, so that is what happened. Secondly, Hindus who could run away, they ran away. So Calcutta was kind of, in that mess. If people could manage by jumping into the Ugly, they did that. And the third thing that happened was that many of the industries in Calcutta were destroyed. So in a nutshell, this is the part. And of course, on the fourth day, the Viceroy woke up and the military started coming in, In the process, the death toll was 7,000, and some say it was 20,000. So Arya Samaj counted and cremated the dead body. Now, this part is not in the book, but I am bringing it up that at this point in 1946, what are we relying on and what is our vulnerability? You see, there is a modern word, recently coined, liquid modernity. It does not mean that we were getting towards being modern. It means that in the modern context, we have to adjust. So it means putting the enemy, giving him unnerving feeling. What is this feeling? That I'm fragile, I am temporary, I am vulnerable, and in any kind of constant change, I will remain that. We are unsure of what is desirable, what is not desirable. Why I am putting this up? Because this is where Hindus are today. This is where Hindus are today in the face of multiple enemies at multiple levels, very active. So we don't know what is desirable. Should we be secular? Should we be non-secular? What is acceptable? What is not acceptable? Where we stop the being respectful? Where we become bigoted? So we have a liquid kind of roles, or we are always in kind of an unsure, fluid situation. So you must have noticed those who go to India every now and then or are living there. So we might find ourselves singled out. That is how Hindus are feeling, especially the Brahmins, scapegoated. It is Hindus' fault. It is a caste system. It is something Brahminical tradition, which is humanity's time-tested mechanism to exclude people from the dialogue, control their visibility, and make them impotent fools. And in such a case, social cohesion is only between those who are not Hindus. So this is where we are. And then there is a euphoria, very happy. Over a cup of tea, they'll say, nothing will happen. This is my own personal experience also. People sitting on the tea table and starting the topic, oh, nothing will happen to India. Why not? Nothing, everything is happening to India. There were 15 countries which were part of India 100 years before partition, and they are no longer there. We are just a tiny peninsula kind of, looking line on the globe. And this is, nothing is happening to India. Nothing happened to India. And then the next one, Hinduism will not vanish. It is vanishing right before our eyes. From 89% of Hindus at the time of partition, we are now 79. That Hinduism is not vanishing. And we are not having the threat over our heads all the time. Conversion is not going on. Killings are not going on. So what is the Hindu side? This is the important, because this is where we are today. And I don't know why, what happened to mothers and what kind of children schools are teaching. So now the scene shifts. Getting back to the context of 1946, just after that direct action, there was massacre in Tripura and Noakhali. And what was the objective? Forcing the British rulers to make a quick decision and yield to demands, and forcing the Congress to accept partition and get out of our way. That was the main objective. So, party to deal with the partition, now these things would be repeated. So they were all, moving quickly. They wanted to make it quick job, surgical. Conversion of 30,000 women happened in that time. 3 lakhs were dead, property lost. The Muslim dared, they mocked, they provoked, they assaulted. And Gandhi was preaching nonviolence, tolerance, and humanity, and singing bhajans at that time, on those days, in Srinagar. So then Congress forced Gandhi that you must go to Noakhali. We are having a losing face. Nobody is believing us that we can do anything. And Gandhi went. And that is an important, interesting thing, shameful also. After this thing was over, he went to Noakhali, and Sohrawardi very nicely put him in a hotel. He was accompanied by his minor grandniece. That is well known that he was always with that girl. And he said that the night before his tour, he said, Mano, we are going, this is our last night together, most likely. So this is the kind of guy he was. He was always thinking about what will happen tomorrow to me too. So he was escorted where nothing was happening. Those were the places he visited, came out, and he said that I have complete faith in Liaquat Ali, Awami League, and Sohrabadi, and dismissed. Layout of the city. Now, let us see in Punjab. Most of the ancient cities, they had gated communities. Like you see, there were gates. And while the Muslims were in power and Congress was nowhere to be seen, what they did, all the gatekeepers, and they made their own militia. The militia, private militia, so governor's militia. And they were in charge of those gates, which means all the gates are sealed. People cannot escape. This is how the layout was. And then every nearby police station was manned by Muslims completely, with daggers and every kind of weapon. And the summer through September, in India, people sleep in their courtyards and terraces. So what the Muslim planned in Punjab, nightly attacks. So people are sleeping, they are taken unaware. So then first came Multan, then came Rawalpindi, then came Lahore, Sheikhupur, Multan, every single city, every single village. Nothing was spared. Exodus was impossible. And even though Mountbatten had a complete charge of intervention, he chose to close his eyes. That is the friend Hindus had. Well, our own people were not friends. Why bother about the British? So Exodus was extremely painful. And I think somewhere I should stop. So now, Red Cliff boundary line. Was it a civil war? No. Was it military style attacks? Yes. Used terrorism as a tool of staff. Why did I italicize it? I want you to get it etched on your mind that wherever the Muslims are starting terrorism, it is a tool of statecraft, part of diplomacy. All else fails, this will succeed. Singing bhajans in Srinagar, that was his usual. Nehru was too busy dreaming about how my cabinet will look like and what will, and of course, Edwina. Somehow or other, Mountbatten should stay as the Governor General and he will have cozy time with his girlfriend. So Nehru was too busy. He didn't have a clue. And Gandhian cult, of course, the followers, three monkeys. So what did we have? That situation, uncertainty, chaos, and total confusion. The only person who had some plan, that was Ambedkar. We always ignore him and his contribution. He had a plan that if partition happens, this is how the property will be exchanged, and this is how we are going to change the population, and these are the provisions we are making to welcome the people. He had 15 points. And of course, you have to have the book to read all those 15, 16 points. And I may tell you the kind of situation. In 1947, in the beginning, a friend of my mother came from Africa to Lahore. And my mother decided to go there to visit her. In spite of the warnings that the confusion was going on and massacre was going on, she still took my little brother and she went there. After two days, she was supposed to come back. And we were standing at the railway station, Amritsar. That is where the train was coming from Lahore. And no train came. So we were wondering what happened. After a lot of waiting, we learned that the train has been massacred. Where was it massacred? We do not know. Was it massacred where the trains started, Hussainiwala, or was it at Atari? Mira. All we know is the train stopped at Atari and there were dead bodies, blood everywhere. We went home very worried, and luckily the telegram came from my grandfather that the horse got sick and my mother could not catch the train. What a lucky escape. What a lucky escape. And the horse fell sick and he could not move fast enough. And then there was the railway crossing, the gate closed. This was a lucky coincidence, but everybody was not lucky. So having said that, we'll continue this. I will bring out the eyewitness accounts of those people who went through this, my age and those who are in the late 80s. They still recall how they moved, what happened, and how the Sikhs, they tried to prevent, and how the women were asked to kill themselves. They were given the small little daggers, kill yourself. So that part will continue next time. But please, I prefer, probably I that everybody who's attending today should do some homework. If not for saving the history, at least for saving the next generations, so that we get out of the stupor. So please let me know 3 things that go in favor of Gandhi as a person, as an unchallenged leader. This is the homework for today. I am a teacher. I usually end up doing that. And the idea is that let us wear a thinking cap and think ahead and focus. Namaste. If you have any question, please. This card. Okay. Yes. Good. What did I do wrong?
You are good.
I am. The screen is not coming, the white screen. Okay, you go ahead. Yeah. What is that now? Okay, thank God. I should have done an MSc in technology, but I didn't. So these are the glitches. All right. So any question? And if you have the answers, you can put it on to me in the email or get it for next time. Okay.
Okay, this is Naresh. I do have a question. So, given Mountbatten's role in not stopping the massacre, why was he later on offered Governor Generalship position?
No, in 1935, the Government of India Act mentioned clearly that as long as the government is not transferred, in the intervening period, Mountbatten will be in charge of both Pakistan and India. So because the movement is still going on and somebody has to look after that. And he was supposed to be looking after that, Mountbatten. So he did not send the military or even the security forces, domestic security forces, which were usually used to beat on the freedom fighters. No, Nothing. As if it is not their business. And as far as Congress was concerned, it was never their business. Otherwise, when Gandhi was asked to go to Punjab, and he said, okay, I'll go to... Yeah, just 1 second. And instead of going to Punjab, one day before he said, I'm going to Bihar. Why? Because 10 Muslims were killed by Hindus. He was going there. He said, I'm there, Bapu also. What a great mind. And our looking after our well-being. Okay. Yes, there was a question, somebody. Asha, who said?
Next question. I have a question on a question. You said that homework has to be done on Gandhi's role, whether it was positive. Am I audible? Yeah. Whether it was positive for what? Positive for India or positive for Britain? I see he's doing all the things that Britain would like him to do.
That
Right.
is a challenge now to face the fact. And I circulated these three questions, this question, that give me at least one good reason that I should remember Mahatma Gandhi as a leader, as a person. And I got one answer, that he was truthful. And that
he
is
wasn't.
one thing he was never.
Yeah.
So,
And I can.
so much is going on.
I have a particular answer. It's not like very considered. It's my grandfather's answer. My grandfather was born in 1924. He said that when Gandhi arrived, Indian people were very afraid of British, and he gave them courage. That's what his impression was. Although I would say that he was born 9 years after Gandhi came back from South Africa in 1915. But I think that answer is actually incorrect, because people of India would have become courageous anyway without him. He actually cut down our courage. When it was rising, he came in as a savior, and everybody thought, okay, this is the guy who is making me brave. Something I see observing even with Narendra Modi's presence. The Hindus were rising up before Narendra Modi. He came in, and everybody thinks that he brought in this Renaissance. He didn't. So that is one. That's my opinion. Like, Gandhi was there at a time when the people of India were already gaining courage against him. I mean, look at all the violent movements that were ongoing, and nothing. All Gandhi did was discourage people from picking up arms against Britain. So even whatever positive he did was actually in the service of something negative. That's what I feel.
My question is, what was the positive?
I
Because
don't find any.
every event,
It's a blank answer.
the massacre was over.
Which
In
massacre?
Bengal, the massacre was over. And he went after that, and this was a guided tour of the same areas. So
Even like
I want positive.
yeah, like if you're talking about the direct action one, I think that the objectives of the Muslims were met through that. The Muslim leadership, I should say, rather not all Muslims. The objective, which was to remove resistance to the idea of partition, happened as a result of direct action. Hindus thought that, okay, we don't want to live with Muslims, so let us have the partition, right? So that objective, to create that atmosphere in favor of partition, was done by direct action, and then Gandhi went there for a PR tour. That's it.
Gandhi said that if two brothers do not want to live together.
That's what it.
Yeah, and this is 1941. You see why I am saying that you should read the book, for the reason that there are his own words and what he wrote in Harijan. There were a lot of speeches and articles that he wrote. Some are very small, and you should read. where he was going. He said, when two brothers are fighting, they should split. I mean, morally, nothing wrong.
I have a question. After that, just a small question. When was the first time Gandhi supported the idea of partition?
When was the first time?
He supported the idea of partition, even if like not fully, but at least the idea that we should not live together.
That is 1938.
On what occasion?
And there was a small private meeting between Jinnah, Jinnah Gandhi and Sheikh Abdul. By the time Sheikh Abdullah, instead of being in the Muslim League, he thought that I will be in charge of Kashmir if I join the Congress. So his party was known as People's Party, People's Freedom Party or something like that. So that was even before the war began. That was the earliest.
That was good to know. Sheikh Abdullah in a partition meeting, I didn't know that. So if anyone else has any questions.
It is so shameful that we ended up where we are today.
Yeah, it's very sad actually to know these historical facts and how our leaders behaves at the time of unity to divide our nation.
Yeah. He did not unite the people, he divided them.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Instead of united the nation, coming as a one nation, they try to divide and rule and follow the British people.
Yeah, actually, he did more than that. He gave alien roots to Muslims, that they are superior because they are directly coming from Makkah and Medina. Khalifa is their head. So that nonsense was the beginning of giving them a feeling of superiority, like the white people have supremacy and we are born to rule, that kind of thing. So he did that. Almost every blunder goes to him.
Thank you for that input. I think we are suffering because of that now till another 70, 80 years we have suffered because of the blunder mistake done by that time, the leadership.
Correct. Yeah. Somehow the ghost is not leaving. And now we have more enemies than just the Muslims and the British. So
definitely, I agree with you fully that at present our religion is targeted by all other factors, like what you said, love jihad or some other Christians that are converting us, our people, our kids are not in our hands. So we have a great responsibility at this time to look after our cultural values and propagating them more seriously in our kids, because I will say the parents between the age of 40 and 60 years did not give enough time to their kids in last 30 years, so which could have made a real impact, that our kids could have been more responsible and more religious. But what we are having is different altogether. Another problem we are facing is we love to send our kids outside the country, and once they go there and they get influenced by the Western media and other things, and most of them don't come back, and the roots they lost completely, and there's no, it's called we may be feeling better that our kids have gone all over the world, okay, but if they carry out our religious beliefs and cultural values, it could have made a great impact. Although it has, some of them are still good and they are doing good work, but most of the time is westernized by the society, by the community.
So what's the question?
My question is how we can inculcate the historical facts in this generation so they know the facts.
Yeah, reading the books. So being out of the habit of 2.5 minute WhatsApp messages Do some serious reading. There used to be, when there was no television and not much of radio, people used to read and read from the original sources. How many people have read about the origin of caste system? But they are beating like anything. And people are establishing themselves as seculars. Here, at least what we have done, some of us, many of us, we created small nucleus of creating awareness what Hindu Dharma is. And we have been successful. There are at this time 3 million Hindus in America. And do you know how many Americans are Hindus inwardly? 20 million. And they don't hobnob with us. The reason? Because ultimately we are selfish people. They feel that we do not have the philosophical roots into Hindu Dharma. And they don't want to have to do anything with us. So what I'm saying, something is being done here. But by and large, we have never risen to appreciate our own next door neighbor and become a community. So if we are not a community, we cannot become a nation. And this is the ball is in the court of Indians. We here, whether we came for this reason or that reason, it is immaterial. It is irrelevant. What is relevant is how the Indians are thinking now, where they are going, and what is being done. And they should have also a propaganda machine. It's not enough that you are doing good deeds like RSS thing and many organizations are doing. A lot of organizations are doing. Philanthropy is being done. Gaushalas are maintained and, inns are made and like that, quietly. But at the same time, we should have a propaganda machinery that, hey, the danger is here. The danger is here. Like the Sikh organizations are doing. Every day they are hammering on us. They are in danger. We are afraid. So, we should have, I am not promoting that we should have lies going around. But there is something like diplomatic endeavor at our part where we present our own picture too. And not say on the Facebook that, hey, I respect all religions. What does that mean? That means you don't know the difference between dharma and religion, A, and B, you don't know what all religions are. You don't know the preschool level of Hindu Dharma. So such is the carelessness and ignorance. And they don't want to cross the boundary. Like they say, that ignorance has no end, and learning has no end, ignorance has no beginning. So where do we begin? Breaking the wall of ignorance.
Ma'am, we have another person to ask. Mr. Partition, could you please?
Yeah, I actually fully agree with Kamlesh ji. And I lived in Hindustan, for, first part of my life. And during that time, I was taught, all, bullshit of, sorry for my language, secularism, equality, and tolerance, all that stuff. But, when I read the books, I was involved in, conversations with, my Hindu brothers. Then, I realized what is actually happening to us. And that was the reality of the partition, where millions were, raped, killed, tortured. So many things happened. And, the lack of information in that time was basically the reason for the ignorance. And I will say, the generation before us, kind of kept, our present generation in some darkness. They taught us, the things like Muslims are our brothers, treat them, like everybody else. And while they were, destroying our roots, our country, and our religion. So those things were taught. And somehow these things have gotten into the mainstream. People, many Hindus, most Hindus actually, I will say, started believing in those things. And then what we are seeing today, just like our girls marrying Muslims and then getting, killed, all that stuff is happening in Hindustan and elsewhere as well, in whether it is UK or USA. So these things, have gotten into the mainstream. Main job for us as Hindus is to teach the reality about these religions. And we are still living in the past. And we haven't actually taught even the past very well. Because in the past, we have suffered for 1,000 years. And we forgot that past. We started believing in something which was never real. And that is the reason we still see a huge Muslim population after partition. We got 2 countries for Muslims, and still we have a huge population there. And so many things are happening. So what your book is a great step there. People call him Mahatma. I call him Papatma. He was the demon. He was the Satan. He was the devil. And people are still worshipping that guy. I attended a meeting in Phoenix last year. And there in the temple itself, people started singing his praise on his birthday. I'm saying, what is still happening? Things haven't changed much. Of course, people like you, people like me are trying to change things. And we have a small forum, we are discussing these things. That's so great. But I'm saying that still people have the mindset that Gandhi was a great man. He did a great service to the country, service to Hinduism. People are not knowing the reality. So what else we can do?
Okay.
Yeah, your book is great step. Yeah, that's so great. Yeah.
So we have a question.
Yeah, but we still, we have a long
What
way
we
to
can
go.
do is actually, we have to know a lot more what happened. I disagree with the point that we should not live in the past. We are not living in the past. We are trying to remember the past and learn lessons. If we do not know what happened and who did the sacrifice, the 30,000 Hindus who died in Calcutta, that is not a sacrifice. So therefore, remembering history is learning lessons. So let us do that, even if it is painful. And then
that is what sorry to interrupt. Yeah. My point is exactly that we know our past, but we are not teaching our past. That is the point. Point is we need to learn from the past. We need to teach what exactly happened in the past. And that past is not too far. It happened in 47. It happened, just a few years ago in Bengal. So many things are happening. But the things are like we are trying to imagine that these things never happened or things have gotten better. That is the point. That is the people which, people are propagating, even in the mainstream. I'm saying I went to a Phoenix temple and there, most of the elderly people were singing, praise of Gandhi. I was ashamed. I actually sat there. So they tried to quiet me down. Okay, no, you leave. You don't speak against that great personality. I left the temple. So I'm saying that people are trying to teach the things which happened. Because when you teach what happened in 47, when you teach what happened 1,000 years ago in Delhi during the Turkish Mughal rules, then you realize what Islam is, what it has done to us. So I'm not saying you forget past. I never said forget past. We need to teach what happened in the past because that's how we learn. We learn the psychology of these religions.
Okay.
We have 4 minutes now. Does anybody have any other question? Or we can close the session. No, actually, this question came up in a couple of past, 2 sessions past, that what can we do? The thing is that we have to educate people around us, right? That what we learn here, we spread to other people. We make, and anybody can become a YouTuber today, if time is available then. And these things can be taught and circulated in our own circles in the beginning, and then you can make short videos, 1 minute, 2 minute videos on specific aspects of Gandhi or specific events, and then spread them around, and that will work, right?
There is
You
one book that I recommend you read. It's a small little book. It was banned, and that is called May It Please Your Honor. This is the defense of Nathuram Godse, and it was banned, and then it came surfaced. I read it, and you read it 100 times. And if nothing else, it's just 145 points, I think, he made why he had to kill. So that is one book you should read. My book is historical narrative, right? It is not about being popular or being able to sell the books. It is just to shake up that what was happening then is happening more now. Do something. So it's creating a authentic narrative. And probably the best investment is the books.
I just shared a link to the book on pdfdrive.com. I think this is a rather old book, so it should be out of copyright. So you can get it from here. This drive has, this website has many other books, probably copyrighted books also available. Please don't take them. But this book should be out of copyright, so you can take it from the link I just shared with everyone.
Yeah, great. Agreed.
Okay, we have 2 minutes, so we can close the this session now. Yeah, ma'am. Do you have any? Will you be? What topics will you be covering next time?
What do I have?
Okay. No. Rajiv ji?
Yeah, he's asking just what will be the part 7.
Part 7 is exodus and anecdotes of different people I met in the recent years and recorded their statements. And I want to recommend the Eyewitness small little books. There is one, Train to Amritsar. And these are actual, and I'll highlight that. And I'll also give the Mountbatten plan, what exactly was agreed on, because that is the foundation of the Constitution. So that will be a topic. A little bit of gruesome and, of course, the foundations of what we call free India. To me, India is not free. If your mind is not free, you don't have a platform, you don't have visibility in the media, you're not free. So that will be 7. So
Thank you.
And Gandhi's death and happenings in Kashmir.
Okay. So, okay, we have completed an hour. Thank you, ma'am, for your time. Thank you, everyone, for participating. We'll see you in a couple of weeks again.